Thank you so much for joining me today. My name is Erin. I am the Education Services Manager at TrainHeroic, and this webinar is part of our masterclass series that we are hosting on coaching the whole athlete. So the purpose of this series is to teach you how you can creatively leverage the platform to provide some additional resources and support to your clients or athletes outside of the weight room. And it is a 4-part series. There are 4 different chapters that we are rotating through for the remainder of this month. You can find our schedule on trainheroic.com/webinars. So the schedule of all the live webinars is up there through the rest of the month, so through January. It also, on that site, if you scroll all the way to the bottom, there are recordings of the previous unit that we hosted. That one was more on getting your account set up, account architecture, client engagement and retention, programming, things like that. So if you have any questions related to that unit, you can find the recordings for those 4 chapters at the bottom of trainheroic.com/webinars. So for today, we're going to look at using the data that you're getting from the Readiness Survey. The other 3 chapters that are included in this unit are on programming in rest and recovery sessions, which we'll touch on tomorrow. And then we'll touch on next week, providing nutritional support as well as support for mental health. Those are the final 2 chapters in this whole series. So today we'll look at using the data from the Readiness Survey, how you can leverage that data to improve accountability, communication, and the adaptability of your coaching services for your clients or your athletes that you are working with. So we developed the Readiness Survey with the intention for it to be administered quickly and easily and probably on a daily basis. Research has shown that readiness surveys or questionnaires that are a little bit more accurate and a little more robustly validated tend to be very lengthy and not something that you're going to be able to administer on a more frequent basis for your clients or your athletes, as it would just be too time consuming. So the goal with how we developed our readiness survey was to make sure that it was something that touched on, the 5 categories that we picked and thought were the most important, and touched on it in a quick, easy, and efficient way that you could administer it on a daily basis, where your athletes will have the time to complete it quickly before they begin their training session, but also allow them some time to kind of step back and do some self-reflection on some behaviors that are often modifiable. So we developed the readiness survey and the questions that we use in discussions with USA Weightlifting as well as US Air Force training researchers. So there's some research behind it, some science behind it. And, the goal is to really just allow for some self-reflection for your clients and athletes and be able to gather some really good information on your client's training status prior to their session that day. So as I'm sure you've seen, the readiness survey is available at the beginning of each session. It does touch on 5 different topics. It's going to be how well they slept, what their mood is like, what their energy levels are like, what their stress levels are like, and how sore they are. Your athlete will be able to rank each of these categories on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being the worst answer, not so great, and 5 being the absolute best. After they've answered those 5 questions and ranked a score on each of those, the system will quickly pull an average to give your client or athlete an average readiness score for the day. All right. So we're going to start first with talking about how you can use the readiness survey. So how you can use the data from the readiness survey. And one of the first ways is going to be reviewing the readiness scores from Coach Home. So Coach Home is going to be your landing page, which is this screenshot here that I'm sure you've seen when you first log into your account on web. It's like a news feed of your recently completed sessions by your clients or athletes. From here, you'll be able to quickly and easily see a summary card for each of the completed sessions that are available to you. And you'll notice that your readiness score shows up here with these icons. It's going to be your second one in. So your first icon is going to be how many blocks they completed to in comparison to the amount that you prescribed. Then your second icon is going to be your readiness score. So the average of those 5 questions. And then the later subsequent icons are on the duration of the duration of the session, the intensity they thought it was, and the volume if you do have your athletes lifting weight right now. So from Coach Home, you can quickly review all of your athletes here. You do have a couple of filter options as well if you are working with teams. But the idea from Coach Home is that you can quickly and easily see these icons. You'll notice that if a readiness score drops below 3, the teardrop icon here will turn to a yellow color. So that kind of gives you a quick, easy, almost red flag alert to maybe give this particular athlete a little bit of extra attention to check in, see what's going on. It'll allow you to easily kind of see any trends too. So if you notice that, Chandler here typically reports something in the 3s and it usually has a green icon here, and then the past 2 days has dropped down to yellow, might be a good point, a good opportunity for you to reach out into a direct message and ask him what's going on, see if there's any additional support you can help him with. If it's whether it's he's not sleeping very well, or maybe he's under a lot of stress from work or anything like that. So secondarily, you can take a deeper dive into this data using our analytics and reports. So your Coach Home is going to be more of just kind of like a quick dashboard overview of recently completed sessions. But if you want to look more at trends over time, then that's when you're going to dive into the analytics and reports. So that'll be almost the last icon on your left-hand menu when you're when you're logged in on web. And from there, you'll be able to pull a date range. You can pull either, the last 10 days, the last 30 days, or you can pull a specific date range that you want to look at. And you'll be able to see a nice graphical representation of the average readiness scores that that particular athlete has been reporting to you. So if you notice, again, like say, for example, here, Leah tends to be between the 3 and the 4s, or, somewhere in the kind of the range of the 3s. If I saw all of a sudden a trend of her going downwards or like dipping really low, that might be a good place for me to kind of check in, see what's going on. And then I can dive in deeper down here and pair that date with the actual breakdown of what she answered for those scores. So I could see if maybe there was one particular section that was bringing it down, bringing that average score down more than, any of these other scores here. So your analytics are going to give you the opportunity to kind of review those trends over time and take a little bit more deeper dive into that data. And then finally, another way that you'll use this data is to potentially modify programming. So if you do have athletes who are athletes or clients who are maybe under a lot of stress, or maybe they are not recovering as well as you thought they were, and their scores are really dipping down, it's going to be a good opportunity for you to pull, unpublish some of the sessions on their calendar and maybe edit the volume or the intensity of those training sessions, or maybe take them off altogether and program in a recovery or mobility day, just to give them a little bit of a break so that we're not worrying about overtraining or any like excessive muscle fatigue or anything like that. So any sessions that you want to pull off of an athlete's calendar or make it basically unavailable to them, you will just do that by unpublishing. And you can do that either by using the 3-dot menu in the top right-hand corner of that particular session. You can also drag and highlight multiple sessions and a menu will pop up on the bottom. And then from there, you can select unpublish or publish, depending on if they're already published or not. Keep in mind, published sessions are available to your athletes. You are unable to edit published sessions. That is why you need to unpublish them first. So once you've unpublished them, they're no longer available to that athlete or client. They won't be able to see them. you can make any changes or edits or just leave them off their calendar for now, and program in, again, like I said, program in any extra mobility or a rest or recovery or active recovery day. So now we've kind of talked about all the ways that you can use the data from the readiness survey. We're going to dive in a little bit on why you should use it. And number one reason is accountability. So if you are regularly checking in with your athletes and regularly checking on their readiness scores and taking into consideration that feedback that they're giving you, your athletes will be more likely to stay accountable to actually logging that data for you and actually taking the time to really have some genuine self-reflection on these behaviors that are probably happening outside of the gym that are impacting what's going on in the weight room. If you're having that conversation with them and you're able to check in regularly with them, they're going to know that you really care, you know that you're keeping an eye on it, and that you are available to make any sort of changes based on what's going on outside of the weight room that might be impacting what's going on inside the weight room, so that you can help them progress towards their goals in the best way possible. Second reason is going to be obviously communication. So this will help you keep an open communication channel between you and your client or your athlete. If you are constantly checking in, regularly checking in with them and seeing how things are going, this will allow that channel to be open so that they can come to you with what's going on in their life, what maybe questions they have on their training, how they're feeling, like, hey coach, I'm still super sore from squats on Monday. Is there any way we can not do squats again today? um, Anything like that keeps that communication open so that they know that you're listening to what's going on in their life and that you're adjusting their training appropriately if needed. And also just that they know that the programming that you're delivering to them and the coaching services that you're giving them are aligned with their goals and in their best interest for their progress towards those goals. So that communication channel is vital for building that trust between you and your client or athlete. And then finally, as we kind of already touched on with like modifying programming, using this data will allow you to really improve how adaptable you are as a coach. So if you're probably not going to get too far if you're a coach that's going to be putting out programs that are one size fits all. If you're able to really adapt to what's going on in your clients' and athletes' life, whether that's their gym shut down and they no longer have access to weights, or they have an injury and they need to change up what major muscle groups that they're able to work. If you're able to adapt to the stresses and the issues and the obstacles that might be coming up in their lives, that will allow you to provide better service to them, to your clients and your athletes. That will help them with their buy-in to your coaching services, and they'll see that you really do care about them achieving the goals that they came to you with. So being adaptable will help you in a lot of ways. It'll help your clients in a lot of ways. It'll help coach them that, even if an obstacle comes up, that doesn't mean we're just going to stop dead in our tracks towards our goals. We're going to find a way around it to keep progressing forward. Awesome. So I